Good morning, folks. We're back for another morning art stream. All right. It's 9:05. 9:08 now. Oh, sorry. Couple minutes behind. Just making a couple adjustments around here. Coffee. And so let's get these babies out of my ears since I don't need them. Doing a little checkup on some stuff there. So, let's see. Where are we going today? Today we are continuing our D&D inspired series of morning sculpts, where we are tracking alphabetically through the monster manual. This has been interesting. We're into the bees. Yay. So, and I've gotten some interesting things produced so far. All right. Okay, we're going to get into it here, and this morning's, as you can see here from my shot, this morning's critter is I'm calling it a Bugabere, Bugabere, something like that. And so let's go ahead and kick over to Zbrush, where I have loaded up a buck that I made for doing stuff for miniatures for tabletop games and so on. I worked up a human male and a female. I have a female counterpart to this that I can use for doing my tabletop mini sculpts. And since the Bugabere is kind of a humanoid creature, I want to work from this. So I'm going to start off by just going ahead and saving my ZTL. Because I do get tired of losing stuff. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my subtool there. And I'm going to start off by scaling this a bit. Since the Bugabere is going to be larger than a normal human, I'm going to scale him up to about there. Nice formidable height. Okay. Now, this critter, we're going to play with proportions first off. I'm going to go ahead and just start by beefing him up quite a bit. Nice thick back and neck. Let's go in here with a inflate brush. And make his head a little smaller for a moment. Smooth this stuff out. Okay. And going to smooth back a lot of these facial features, although I kind of want to keep those the eyelids roughly in place. Let's go ahead and move these eyeballs up to where I want them. I want to make him kind of squinting right here. Right, now let's smooth back that brown and kind of canify his nose. And have this mesh set up in poly groups here that make it easier for me to manipulate certain things. It's just kind of front loading my work a little bit to make some things just faster, just faster. So I'm going to take this guy and give him a little bit of a modeled in expression, give him a snarl. Then I'm going to go ahead and inflate these teeth up a little bit. And you notice I'm working at pretty low resolution here. So let's go ahead and subdivide this a couple times. And I highly recommend people develop their own bucks to use. There's no harm in giving yourself a nice starter mesh. Take the time to build a good one that will serve you well. Because this is going to allow me to fly through this so fast. I can really control a lot about this by having it at this lower resolution to work with. This also, something to note here too, the way I'm working on these teeth, in the end, when this thing is set up to print as a mini, this whole mouth cavity is going to get filled in the end, if the teeth are together like this. But I like having that in my starter mesh, in my buck, because it allows me to work with a full mouth and be able to create those sculpts with their mouths open if I want, and then I have all the options of that. So it's just nice. It's just nicer to have that, because it's way easier to close a mouth later than it is to open a mouth later. So I'm seriously considering just doing an entire kit, maybe even a product line, or an entire suite of tools for myself that may become some kind of a product line for others wanting to sculpt their own minis of, meshes like this with all kinds of prefab things built in. I don't know. It's something to consider. for those who don't know, you know, so much of what I do for a lot of years now has kind of been making like products that are art but also become tools for artists, where it's like, you know, models and things that they can pull off the shelf and then incorporate into their own work. So the thought of doing something like that with a creature, you know, or with this type of material is pretty comfortable to me. It's kind of homey, you know. It's right along the lines of stuff that I've done for a very long time to begin with. Okay. Those teeth are fine for now. It's more coffee. Right, let's mask that. Let's do that again. And now we're gonna start moving this stuff out. I'm trying to keep from dynameshing this one. Since I already have a nice buck here, so I'm going to try to avoid Dynamesh or Sculptress and see how far I can push it just on this mesh. There's a number of benefits to that for how I like to work, and like kind of post sculpt. So like a lot of times, what I will do with things, like if you guys recall in earlier streams, the Unkilig, kind of my version of an Unkeg, and I showed in a later stream the prints of those, which are sitting right here, these guys. You know, I ended up having 3 different nicely posed prints of those with tons of detail, and the reason I was able to do that is because I turned the first one, the neutral, or turned the sculpt at its neutral pose into a nice topology and rigged it, and then was able to bake all my details into you know, like higher res geometry that rig would then drive. So then I could pose that rig and be able to take the high res details and everything that had then been posed and take that to different prints pretty easily. So I mean, it's not a one-to-one thing. Like, even after you pose it, you still have to run through ZBrush and close up areas that might fold on themselves and look for undercuts and stuff like that. But it's way, 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 way faster than just resculpting it 3 times, or than trying to take a Dynamesh sculpt and pose a Dynamesh sculpt. I hate trying to do that. I know some people do it, and some people are really successful with it. Not me. I don't like it. Besides that, it's like the speed at which I can do that. Like, I could turn out a mob of those Onculigs super fast. You know, I could probably spit out 4 more posed sculpts of that in an hour, maybe 2. So, you know, things like that, like if we were to get into any kind of wargaming, which is something I really love. I haven't done it in a long time, something I really love. If we were to get into any kind of wargaming, you know, the methodology that I use for production, like, I can take a buck that I build of a creature type and then build some clothing and, you know, build like a little library of props and things for it that I can mix and match. And then with my system of rigging and putting it all together and the way that I output it, you know, I can literally set up an army of sculpts, you know, probably, you know, have a full army's worth of stuff modeled and ready to prep for print in just a couple of days. Probably maybe a week, you know. So And that's kind of why I'm sticking to this right here. I'm trying not to use Sculptress or Dynamesh on this now that I have a nice human buck that I like. Because that human buck is going to get rigged. And that rigging, there's just a whole lot of stuff that goes into that. I could get into that stuff sometime if folks are interested. But it you know, that's some deep, like, next level kind of stuff, honestly. So... Let's see. I'll pop over and see who's in the stream. We've got in the chat this morning. We've got Sean, as always. Good morning, Sean. Gina is here. Hello, Gina. Overboard DM. Cool. Glad you're back, man. Good deal. Good deal. So I can see from the delay thing on in YouTube Studio, like where we're at right now is just a horrible face, but. It's gonna get better, I swear. I swear. He's gonna get better. He's gonna get a lot better. So, I'll hide those eyes, because his eyes are starting to kind of distract me a little bit from where I want to go. I have the pockets there, and that's really the important thing. So, let's start getting some shapes into this. I'm going to just inflate around those eyelids a little bit so that they're a little easier to deal with. And I should have, yep. See, this is another good thing about having your own buck made of stuff. So, you know, I've kind of, again, I've pre-gamed this so that, you know, I have all these nice groups here that I can just manipulate that make these selections much faster and easier. It's really helpful. So, we'll change this off to a smooth, stronger. Come back here. There we go. Oh, I swear he'll look better in a minute. Yeah, we're not even that up in that high of a poly count for sculpts yet, so. I may end up dynameshing this in a little bit. I mean, there are ways that I could like take whatever rigging I do for this, for the human buck, and transfer them into other sculpts. So that may be where I go with this one, because as I'm looking at it, I may want to go more extreme than what I have the capability of, just straight inside this topology. We shall see. But yeah, it's funny because he looks like poop right now. Just poop. Hot poop. But we'll get that fixed up. You know, it's funny too to me sometimes, like when I see like real like newbie novice sculpts from people, you know, just starting out, and you know, they are what they are. You know, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has to start somewhere, so I'm not faulting anybody. But it's interesting to me how like there's a stopping point a lot of folks hit in their beginning sculpts that looks a lot like points along the way in, you know, a more experienced person's sculpts. Like, looks like the early points of an experienced sculpt. And it just strikes me, thinking about it, that like one of the things I think that is happening there is a lot of times, you know, it's like when you're a beginner, it just takes you longer to get to the point that, you know, to certain points than it does the you know, more experienced sculptor, more experienced artist. So that's something to think about. You know, it's like, because people can get discouraged when it takes them a little longer to get to a point. They can think, man, you know, I watched this thing on YouTube and this guy's super fast, or got, you know, did this stuff in, you know, crazy time, and, you know, why does my stuff not look like that? Well, a lot of it's probably just because, you know, there's learning curves and there's time involved just in getting the tools down and making that stuff become kind of second nature, so that you don't have to think about it. I mean, I know one of the things that I have found myself doing through the years, you know, when I'm trying to help people, is I actually find that there's stuff, because I've been doing this day in, day out for so long, there's a lot of stuff I actually just have forgotten that I do. And people are like, hey, what'd you do there? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I did there. Well, crap, I haven't had to think about that in, you know, 10 years, 15 years. And so, point being, you know, it's like, don't let those things get you down if you're just starting out, because, you know, the course that I go through in making a sculpt is kind of parallel to the course you'll go through as an artist developing the ability to do that sculpt. And if you haven't reached the ability yet to hit the end point that I hit, then your ability level is somewhere likely at an earlier stage in the sculpting process. And I think it's valuable to kind of recognize where you're at. It can give you a real good means of self-analysis, and sort of like, if you don't know where you're at developmentally, then how can you judge where you need to go next? How can you judge what your goals should be? You know, it's like you just, it's hard. And you know, for me coming up in this stuff, there was hardly anything to judge your ability by. So, you know, we didn't have those metrics to look at. And you know, now that there's this world of artists out there like myself who do stuff and do it out here, you know, publicly, where you guys can see it and everything, well, that gives you these metrics, so you can actually judge your you know, judge where you're at, and not so much so that you can like beat yourself up about, you know, where you're at in the process, but so you can know where you're at in the process and have an idea where you're going to go. Okay. Starting to remind me a little bit of Azog from the Hobbit movies. I really liked that character. I want to play with some design elements here. Just kind of looking at how the ears can flow into things. I don't know. I'm always tempted to do weird stuff with ears. I love how when you use the clay buildup brush the way that I do, combined with Smooth Stronger right after, you know, it's like with the clay buildup, yeah, it's dropping volume down in this with this square alpha, which can look like garbage, but then when you smooth back over it, the hint of those lines that are left, like I really dig it, and I think it adds a kind of texture just without even trying that is super cool to things. Like there's lots of different effects you can get with it. Like on yesterday's stream, I was using that to get these kind of tree bark effects in the tree blight that I was doing. Yeah, I'm digging this. I am digging this guy. Let's go ahead and start working out some anatomy here. Anatomy is, you know, a lot of folks will know, is kind of like big deal to me. And this is so funny because it also ties in for me into kind of life in general, because you know I've fought with my weight all my life, and I really enjoy being active, and you know, like I can get involved in some athletic stuff, and I did as a kid, but I still was really fat as a kid, up until like my late teens. And so the thing I was going to get at with that is that as an artist, especially doing things like comic books and working in fantasy genres where you kind of idealized overblown anatomy is the rule and not the exception. There's obviously study of anatomy, but if you also take the time to actually like work out and take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your body, you know, get physically active, like get in an aerobics course, do some cardio, go for walks, you know, get into a gym and learn to embrace it. If you go lift weights, when you lift, you can feel those muscles, and if you can feel them, it registers in your head while you're studying the anatomy. You see it, you think about it, you learn to do it on paper or digitally or whatever. You learn those shapes, but then if you're actually instantiating all of that into your own physicality when you go work out a little bit, and it's good for your health. So like there's something to be said for being able to sculpt something and see it and go, yeah, I kind of know what a deltoid feels like. I kind of know what a bicep feels like. I kind of know what the brachioradialis or the serratus or the latissimus dorsi, you know, any of these. Like I kind of know what those feel like because I've engaged them in my own body. I feel like there's something really missing with a lot of artists, or something. It's not that it's necessarily missing. There's lots of artists who don't do anything like that, probably have no thought of anything remotely close to that, and are great artists. But I often think, I'm like, man, you know, I also know a few artists, like in comics. Greg Capullo, dude works out like a beast. I'm pretty sure Liam Sharp works out like a beast. And I always notice that when I meet these artists, these fellow artists who do this kind of work, and they're physically fit, I swear it shows up in the work. I swear their stuff is just that much tighter, that much more grounded, that much more solid. It just doesn't seem to me like it's possible for these things to not be connected. And so I encourage people to do it because it also helps your health. So just my fitness tips for the morning. Gina is in the chat. She's been hearing me talk about this for a long time. I always poke at people about that. You know, what have you done physically today? How have you, what have you done for your body today? And this is also the point in the stream where I expect to see some super pithy remark from Gina. Let's give this guy some wings. Speaking of wings, man, I had some great chicken wings last night. Buffalo Wild Wings, mango habanero. So good. So good going down. So bad coming out. A 4-alarm fire here this morning. Excusez-moi. Lordy. Alright. Let's get back in here with some landmarks. Yeah, I'm going kind of extreme with some of this. I know it's going to end up getting backed off a little bit toward the end. That's okay. Excuse me. Alright. Now, this Bugabere thing, I'm going to give kind of a, what I call a GHB belly. If you ever look at like bodybuilders who, like their physique is excellent, but then they have this little hint of this, they have like a barrel coming out in their belly. A lot of times that is actually a hormonal response to them having taken GHB, human or HGH, human growth hormone. And it's like, oh, I caught you. You were juicing, buddy. I'll map out some anatomy landmarks on here real quick. And I frequently pull up references for stuff like this just to help make sure I'm staying on point and just at least generally in the vicinity of what I want to get to. Never be shy about having references around. I'm fully aware, too, that a lot of stuff that I sculpt in and I work in on things that are going to go to minis is probably going to end up getting lost. But I'd rather overdo it and take away than not have enough there and need it, you know? It's like a condom. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Now we're getting somewhere with this. I just heard one of my dogs growl, so there's probably mail being delivered, and they're gonna freak out any minute. Just freaking out what they do. Let's put a butt on him. There's a couple of things I like to think about when drawing or sculpting muscles. Is like if you learn the form of the muscle, so like it's going to go from a taper to a balloon to a taper most of the time, and then you think about the direction of the strands of the muscle. If you draw in the direction of the strands of the muscle while building out to the overall form and shape, you'll end up creating, both in drawings and in sculpting, these hints of striations in it that are perfect for creating these, like, you know, super strong looking characters. Quads on this boy. So it's a long way from that little guy. I'm going to go through and inflate all of his fingers a little bit. And his toes. I'm going to start doing some shaping work down on the legs. My boy here needs some calves, man. Needs to spend some time doing some heel raises. Oh, man. If it were only as easy as this to get those results for yourself. Only that freaking easy. Where are we going here now? More definition in there. And of course, you know, this is for minis, and I do tend to overdo it, but also in the like, part of why I like to overdo it is because I know that I could take it larger and then continue to add those details, and it could be a nice, like, collectible sculpt, like a big you know, mantelpiece, showpiece, you know, thing that people like to have around, and I think that's super cool. You know, sometimes I just want like a nice big art piece to show off some crazy creature that I like. Okay. This is where it's going to get interesting here. I want to put some claws on him. And I'm going to do that by just pulling them right out of this high-res mesh. Okay. Let's invert that mask. And inflate around that a little bit. Kind of join that stuff together a little better. Feeling pretty good about those. One of the nice things about working at you know, across multiple subdivisions is you can kind of go into lower levels and maybe a little faster interaction with some things. I'm not putting really any effort yet into the furriness of this guy, because I want all my big physical landmarks down, and most of my muscle details and things like that. I want to have that stuff pretty nailed down before I start trying to add any of those surface elements like fur or whatever. I feel like those will just, if you try going into that too early, then you obscure important pieces of form that it'll show. It'll really show. It'll ripple right through the work, and what you end up coming back with it's just subpar. That's the only way to put it. It's just subpar. Okay. Normally, like if this were something that was intended for rendering and realism, I would do these fingernails completely differently. But actually having them thicken out like that from the meat of the finger is rather useful in something that's going to go to print, because it gives them more of a connection to the material, and so you're less likely to have, you know, fingernails breaking off when you're removing supports and all that kind of stuff. I want to go back in and just make sure that I get the right little bit of definition around the base of these fingernails that I want. Maybe add a little bit of something right there. I also approach this, because I do enjoy painting miniatures, so I approach this thinking about what kind of grooves and things do I need in order to make for a more interesting paint, or to make it easier to paint. Because if you have plenty of surface detail, then a lot of your painting just comes out in dry brushing. That's funny too, like thinking about it, people, if you could see my my rather enormous kit of Zbrush custom brushes I have that I've made through the years, there's a whole section of those brushes that are actually designed to emulate and named based on things that come from painting miniatures and statuary and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Brent's joining us. Howdy do, Brent. Yeah, it's actually not a werewolf, dude. I know it's got werewolf characteristics, but there's a lot that those share. We're continuing the D&D series, D&D inspired stuff, and this one's a Bugabere. Bugabere. So, which makes me think, too, I need to, first off, check my time. I'm actually at an hour in, so really I should be wrapping up soon. But, I want to go ahead and do some work on his toes and get this guy really, closer to done. So I want to pull these toes on out here. I want to actually just do a whole bunch of manipulation to the feet in general. And I am going to go ahead and use an inflate brush to sort of close up the gap between the toes. When it comes to minis, unless there's a reason that I want those toes spread, I'm going to keep them kind of locked together. And then when I finish my prep for it to be a mini, it'll fuse in there. So it'll just, it'll have the impressions of the shape without actually, having that full extruded pieces and all that. So, nah, don't go that route. There we go. Now let's do similarly to what we did with the fingers. Nice. Okay. Sometimes I like to dial the Z intensity back on my smoothing brush. Just a little bit. And now we got those masses sort of defined and got their toenails really about done. And we kind of follow the the shape of the tendons and all that, and the that are formed down there in the the feet. Give it some of those little cross Some little striations and things that cross over it. Yeah, I like that. I like those feet. Man, I'm really digging this guy. Really digging this guy. Brent says, once again, you outgeek me. Dude, it's my job to outgeek you. Geeking is my profession. I've been a professional dork my whole life. It's okay. I feel like I got something kind of off right there. There we go. This area has been bugging me every time I've swung around past it. There we go. Super stoked with the way this guy is looking. So I'm going to store a morph target real quick, just so I have a place to get back to. It's also save. So I'm going to come back and put some love into his face here. Not going to go overboard with any of this right here because when it comes to printing minis, this stuff just gets lost anyway. It's tempting. It's very tempting. Always tempting. I just want to make sure that I have some nice delineations here that will paint up well, you know, if they show. I am really pleased with how this this mesh is working out for this. This will be the first sculpt I've done working from this buck, and so far I am very, very happy with it. Okay. Now let's get some more shapes in here that are really going to make this thing pop when it gets printed. Also, I want to do some stuff that helps kind of define a little better what he is, or at least my idea of what he is. Really want some asymmetry in that, but I don't know. Let's just go ahead and do it while I'm here. Just some crossing strokes there will help break that up and make it a little more natural. I do feel like the overall facial shape just needs to be kind of manipulated a little bit. I want more of a low brow on him. And make sure I indent that a little bit more so that that shows up better at size. So zooming out, I think most of this guy's stuff here will hold up really well. I'm gonna start working on these brows a bit because I know that should be like a real thing, you know. So I am going to just sculpt these eyebrows in here. And once I have those, it's time to save my morph target. I'll pull some of this just way on out here. Can be hard to keep in mind, you know, the scale you're working at. Especially when you're used to working at, you know, working towards stuff that's supposed to be like photoreal kind of things. You know, sculpting for minis is pretty different. You know, the fundamentals are all the same. But there are just some special considerations for one versus the other. So like, if I make those super sharp, the sharpness will just get lost when it prints. Might even cause stuff to break off in the resin vat. So I want to leave those with a little bit of roundness to them. And then I can zoom out and see, like, from here, that will actually print pretty sharp looking. So, and I also can see when I pull out that I need to really bring out more of those lines going into the, you know, driving it forward into the brow there. Let's give this guy a unibrow. Just bring it right on down here. There we go. Okay. Now I really need to put a beard on him. I really don't want to add the rest of those hair elements until the very last thing. So I need to make the decision now. You know, is this the end? Am I finished with the basic, you know, details and things? I think I'm going to come through and just add a few more little points in here before I call it done on that. Let's delineate that ear and that jawline a little bit. Even though jawline, a lot of it's going to get lost once he gets his beard. Okay. Alright, I'm going to delete my morph target, store a new one, and now we're going to have a little fun with sculpting in some hair. And there's a lot of different ways I could do this. Which method do I want to go with today? Well, since I am doing lots and lots of stuff for minis right now, let's go ahead and make a new vector displacement brush. So we go to a plain 3D and make it a polymesh. Turn those wires on, turn off smoothing. Divide it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Store me a morph target. Come back out. And let's come in here. Change our tablet pressure on my clay buildup brush. And why am I not getting any pressure sensitivity? Did my Wacom kick off? It shouldn't have. Double check that driver. There we go. Sometimes on the Cintiq, you have to like, and there's a, you guys can't see it, but like right up here, there's a little touch spot where I can hit it and it'll bring up my tool settings for the actual device, and I can sometimes, if a program isn't responding, if I bring that up and just go into those settings and go to the pressure settings where it allows you to push with the pen and feel what it's going to be like, it will, I swear, it's just like it re-engages or something. It's very strange. So what I want to do here, let's go into my stroke. Let's change that lazy radius to something like that. I'm going to smooth back over it. Boy, it's acting real weird right there. Well, the nice thing about those morph targets being on there is you can always do that with it. And smooth some of that back out. Okay. I make new tools like this on the fly just all the time. Very common for me. Part of the workflow. Here's one of these. And I'm going to duplicate that. And let's do another one here. Man, I do not like what that's doing there. We're going to use a little something here to prevent that, just to absolutely ensure it. So in this thing here called thick skin, it's pretty neat. It'll set a cap to how high this stuff will lift out. So I think that'll be enough on that. There we go. By doing that, that way I can have this nice little taper there. Okay. So now let's just sight that up. And let's go to, I'm going to grab my chisel brush that I never use. Where's that? Let's go here. And then we're going to create a multi-alpha brush. Cool. Cool. Great. Muy excelente. That is awesome. I think at this point I may go up one more subdiv to, yeah, 9 million polys. So I'm going to keep just some great surface fidelity right there. Of course, before I make a mini out of this guy, he's going to get clothes, so, you know, that'll be a different, it might have to just be a different tutorial, a different video, whatever. These aren't really tutorials, I know, because they're just more informal than that, but I like this. I always found that, you know, I learned well from this kind of thing, so I hope other folks do too. here about giving him some of this off the ears. Make a little change to this brush here. Let's go in here and go to auto masking, and we're going to set that to backface mask. Still going to come through down here a little bit, but that's okay. That should, yeah, that'll prevent it from coming through on the underside of those ears. All right. Digging that. And I know it might seem like it's just a little slower to put this hair in like this, to lay it in this way. And it is, like, I could spray the hair in, the fur in, but I want to keep it super clean. And try to keep it so that it really reads well when it comes out as a, you know, a printed sculpt. Just looking at it, I think some of that might actually get lost. Maybe not. It's definitely worth a shot, that's for sure. Not real happy with the way that's coming. Okay. That's weird. Let's just save this, because I get a feeling we're about to crash. Yeah, let's just have ourselves a healthy restart without a crash. Come on back, Zbrush. After you finished vomiting all over yourself. Oh, that's such poop. I lost my my VDM brush in that. I forgot to save it. Oops. It was an easy one to make, so. We're really close, so let's just let's go ahead and make that VDM brush again. Make something similar. That's fine. It'll just give me a little more variety in the surface anyway. So Oops. Almost forgot. There we go. Still almost target. And ooh, that's nice. Ooh, let's not do that. Let's also not do that. Totally messed that up. Let's just reset those brushes real quick. Bring that back down right there. Yeah. Got a little frazzled when I realized it was gonna be stupid on me. Add a little indentation into there. Let's make another one. Switch it. Delete morph target. This one. I'll add a little more curl. Like that. Maybe even add a layer over top of it. Just try to add a little more complexity to it here. That'll blend in really well. I think it's really important, like if you want to do, you want to sculpt to go to miniatures, which is something I love doing, and until just recently have not gotten to do as much of it as I would love. Like one of the reasons I got in that I just bought, you know, a 3D printer was because it was like I knew like this is something I want to do more of, and I need to be able to put hands on the thing, and it really affects your work once you can do that. Let's go here. Okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe I will use a stroke like that. Pretty interesting. Oof. You know what? Sometimes a crash or a restart can seem like a problem, but then you come back and you just turn that frown upside down with it, because it'll make you stop and rethink where you're at a little bit, and then you can get some really cool stuff going. Like, you may, from the pause that it brings you, you can end up finding your way into something maybe you hadn't been thinking about before. And that's what we have here. I really like that. And it's faster. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to turn on my back face mask. There we go. That'll just keep it from accidentally sending that stroke into polygons facing away. Alright, I really dig this. Really dig where I'm at with this. So now, because I want to keep my, wait, did I not save a morph target? Okay, cool. Yeah, I have a morph target of him saved without all that sculpting on there. So I'm going to finish him out doing the beard area into a layer. That way I can turn that off and on later if I want. So, like right here, let's just delete that and do it again. Because I really want to add some more volume under here. Build up the volume for what I want that beard to end up being like. That's a bit much. Let's just do that with a move brush for now. Right. Okay. And I be a little more selective with how I lay this fur in right here. So also, man, it makes me mad. I really want more depth coming up on that. Come in here and I haven't tried this before, but just mask that off, come into deformation, push that contrast a bit. There. And still, that's not what I want. It's not what I want. Maybe I can just place my... Yeah, let's do that. Because I really want that stuff to lift up out of there. Stay flat. Cool. Let's do the same thing with this one. Right. Much better. Much, much better. That's what I'm looking for. I'll be able to just stamp that in. I probably need to work from the bottom here to the top. Just from the looks of that. Yep, work from bottom to top with these. Derp. So that morph brush allows me to take the morph target that I saved before and paint back in, so it's almost like erasing. Super darn handy. Alright. Now I'm just going to punch up some of these areas here so that this stuff will paint up better as a mini. After we finish letting it save. Okay. All right. And there we have our bugbear. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'm tempted. Actually, I think I want to go in one last little thing here. And just, yeah. Let's add a little bit more down the front of the legs. Well, that's a good brush. I like that brush. That's going to be a very, very handy brush. I can see that coming. I do want to carve up under that beard area there a little bit more. I just wasn't happy with that beard looking out there. There we go. That's what I want. I'm taking a snake hook and pulling some of this out, just so we get some little stuff there that will give it some interesting shapes. Also, just take a move brush to it. Alright. There we go. Turn his eyes on. There we have our bugbear. I feel really good about that. I feel really good about this guy. I haven't popped into the chat for a minute, so let's go over and see if anyone has anything to say. Sean says this would make a great Daz figure. I know it would. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right, folks. So, yeah, I effectively went over by about an hour, but that's okay. I think I should just, like, budget myself for 2 hours to do this, because it takes about 2 hours, really, to get a good sculpt done. So, you know, is what it is. Some days it goes faster, but yeah, I feel really good about this guy. You know what he needs. You know what he needs. I just realized something he needs. And this is just me being silly, but let's give him some little nippy nips, because everybody loves some little nippy nips. What kind of buggy bear would he be without his little nippy nips? This thing's still not recording my my stinking strokes. Oh, weird. Very weird. Oh, it's recording it. There it goes. Come to me, nippy nips. Meepo. Anybody watch that cartoon? Does anybody know the reference when I say Meepo? We do battle? It's just, I'm gonna dull those back a little bit. Nah, I'm ditching the nippy nips. Ditching the nippy nips. That's horrible. What I'm not gonna ditch though. Oh, crap. Man, as soon as you mess with the depth on the clay buildup brush, that thing goes bonkers. I don't know how well any of that will show up as a mini, but I just think it's super cool to have some, a little bit of veininess coming in there. Just feels a little more finished to me. For a big old badass fantasy character, you know. Alright. Yeah, that feels much more finished. So, let's turn on his eyes and get ourselves a turntable going. I can't wait to get this guy rigged up and some clothing and stuff on it, be able to pose it, and because bugbears really should have the kind of clothes you'd see on like orcs. So there's going to be armor and stuff like that that'll add on to it. I think what's going to happen is this guy is going to be the base for a series of miniatures, so that you could have like an entire squad of bugbears, like maybe 10 of them, so I think that's going to be really cool. Yeah, that's going to be pretty darn cool. Pull in here about waste time, get a render shot of him for when I replace the video thumbnail, because that's what I do. I make up a thumbnail. Like, I know the thumbnails, when I send out the notices for these, the thumbnails that go out and that stuff probably don't look all that great, because I'm spitting those out super fast. Like, yeah, I'm doing this, do some kind of a sketch of it, comp something together, okay, cool. And that goes out, when I do my social media post to let everybody know that what's going on in the stream. But after the fact, I'll go back in and take a render like this and replace my thumbnails, like on YouTube. So, anyway, there's that. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy with this. Man, I'm very happy with this. I'm actually happier with this than I thought I was going to be. And that's always nice. It's always nice when it comes out that way. So, tell you what, I'm going to leave that on screen for a second, see if anybody has any questions or comments or whatever. But, I'd say we're about done. Here. So, let's go ahead and pop back over. And if you folks recall, yesterday morning we were doing the, I'm back on this camera. Hey, over here. Yesterday morning we were doing a tree blight. And, that got set up, posed, the whole deal. That's funny, because this is one, remember I was talking earlier about how I like to rig things, but the tree blight I didn't really feel like rigging. So I did that kind of a manual way in Zbrush, and here he is. My camera not autofocusing. Let's take a look at that real quick. There we go. Try this again. Here you go. I have to hold it right in front of my face because the autofocus looks for facial cues. But yeah, really super happy with this guy. So this is set up as a this is a 9 square. It takes up 9 spaces if you're using a 1-inch grid. I think that makes it a large. I don't know, large, or I don't know what the. I'd have to look it up again. the D&D rules on it, but yeah, there it is. There's the tree blight. I actually ran 2 of these off, and other cool thing going on is you can't see it, but the second Mighty 4K is here and in place. Hasn't gone on its maiden voyage yet, but that time's coming. So we got more resin in, and second printer, second Mighty 4K printers here. So hopefully before long, there's going to be a few more of those Mighty 4Ks in the shop. Probably some Mighty. I'm thinking I'm sticking with the Mighty 4K. That thing's a workhorse. So we're probably going to be growing the number of those. And since I'm really sold, I love Frozen. That company has made a product that I am so stoked with. I'd say at some point we're going to go up to their big 8K printer that's just like enormous. In the meantime, the next printer we have coming in is a large volume FDM printer, because I want to be able to print, like, even though I don't do cosplay, I want to be able to print some cosplay stuff and design some actual wearable stuff like helmets and face masks and things like that, you know. So that's gonna be fun. That stuff's just gonna be fun for me to be able to make and share. And it's just like, you know, I talk about this a lot, but it's like, you know, so many folks in the 3D print community aren't you know, artists in that sense. You know, a lot of them are like mini painters, and they do dioramas and they do things like that. Some of them are cosplayers, you know, and that's their art form. But the very originating side of it, in the 3D sense, not many of them seem to actually be that. So for me as a 3D artist, being able to like sculpt something and take it out to a printer the same day oftentimes, and have it in my hands that night or the next morning, is so powerful. Yeah, it's really sweet. And also, it's opening up a lot of business opportunities for me too, which is kind of cool. It's very cool. So we'll be getting into more of that in the future. There's some stuff coming that's there are meetings being had, discussions being had, and plans being made. So good things are coming. Good things are coming. So anyway, folks, as always, thank you for joining us, for watching this video on the rewatch, or if you were here for the chat, which I know who was here for the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Gina, Sean, Brent, Overlord DM, all you guys, thank you for showing up, popping into the chat. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell. You know, the whole thing. That's the thing. That's what you're supposed to do these days. Hit the little thing, ring the little bell, ding-a-ling, and head over to successful.com and sign up for the newsletter. So lots of cool stuff coming. So, I know I keep saying that. It seems like it might be a slow grind, but as they say, slow is steady, steady is fast, and cool things are coming. So till let's see, it's Friday, so till Monday, see you guys. Thanks for hanging out.